right, guys, here we go. We're gonna tie what I call the Merryville special. It's a little jig that I use when we fish at Merryville, and like I said earlier in my presentation, we're gonna be going to Henderson, Louisiana this week, and we're gonna be using this little jig. So let me get started with you, and I'll show you how I tie this particular jig. All right, we're gonna use a chartreuse jig, and it's got this little deal, and it comes with it like that when you buy them. And I'm going to use my side cutters, and I'm going to get right up against the head and turn it and cut, and then I'm going to turn those side cutters to the side and catch it right about in the middle where the hook is, and try to get all that extra lead off of there, because we don't need that to tie this jig. So they put that on there to hold the plastics if you're going to use plastic, but we're gonna use a hair jig. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like now. It's all taken care of. Clean up some of the paint. Only got a little bit of paint. Okay, so we're going to put the jig in the vise, and we're going to start tying. Now, again, as you know, when I get ready to tie a jig, you know, the Bible speaks to that firm foundation. And I use a little bit of this Sally Henson's Harder Than Nails, and put a little coat of that on the hook shank to set that basic thread in, what you're going to be using as your foundation. And I'm going to use this purple thread. It's 140 denier. And that's what we're going to start with. So we're going to put it on the jig, and we're going to tie this thread all the way to the hook point. When we get to the hook point, we're going to stop, and we're going to turn around, and we're going to go back to the head of the jig. Now, this is a pretty easy jig to tie. There's not a lot of components to it. Once we get back to the head, we're going to trim the extra thread off. Okay, the next step is going to be to add a little bit of blue buck hair to this thing. And it really doesn't take a lot of this blue. So I'm going to try to catch some of that buck hair, that bucktail. Okay, that's going to be our basis for this jig. It starts with a blue. It's actually blue and white. Little jig works really well. We went to Merryville a lot this winter, and we caught a lot of sac-a-lait on this little jig. So here, remember, we're going to do the hook and a half. And what I do is I'm going to trim this. I don't want to tie all that on there. Okay, so now I have it trimmed to be about a hook and a half long. So I'm going to lay that right up against the head of this jig, and I'm going to make a few wraps on it, kind of loose, to get it started. And remember, I like to hide the hook shank, so I like to kind of press it down to where when I tie this, it's going to be kind of on both sides and the bottom part of the hook shank. So here we go. We're going to tie this, and we're going to tie this rather tight so that it doesn't move. And we're going to go to the hook point again. Like I said, there's not a lot to this thing. Once I get to the hook point, I'm going to head back to the head of this thing. And once I reach the head, then I'm good. And make sure that this thing covers. There we go. All right. That looks pretty good right there. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add some of this chartreuse and white flash And like I said, I usually get 4, somewhere's in there, about 4, 5 maybe, of this flash. And I usually cut them about 6 inches long, 5 inches long, 6 inches, somewhere's in there. Okay, and we'll set that aside, and we don't need that anymore. So this is kind of what I have here. And I try to catch them somewhere's about in the middle. Somewhere's about there. And I'm going to lay the middle of it right against the head of the jig. A little loose wrap where I can set it where I want it, and then I tighten up, make 2 or 3 little wraps kind of tight to hold it in place. And then I like to tie them to where they kind of float on both sides of the hook shank. So I'm going to hold it in place, and then I'm going to wrap it. And I'm using rather tight wraps. And when I get to the hook point, I'm going to stop there right now, because the next phase of this, we need to be right there at the hook point. Now I'm going to cut these. I'm going to trim this a little bit longer than the hair, than the bucktail. So now we have it, and you can see it laying in there. All right. Now, for the next thing, I'm going to lay a little bit of this Sally Hansen's right on top of that thread, because I'm going to come back with my chenille next, and this will give something for that chenille to kind of stick with. So here I have a chartreuse colored chenille, and this is a small chenille. It's not real thick. I don't know why, but these Sacolets, sometimes they shy away from the thicker bodies. But this particular jig really worked well, like I said, in Merryville. So I'm going to tie that and lay that in place till I get to the head. And then I'm going to bring my little tool here that I have, and I'll lay my thread out of the way. And then I'm going to put some tension now on the chenille, and I'm going to use the rotator part of my vise, and I'm going to rotate around that chenille, and I'm laying that chenille one right up against the other as I'm making this turn, where there's no gaps between them, and you can't see that purple thread down in there. Now, there's a reason for the purple thread that you'll see in a little while, because you know me, when I tie a jig, I like to put a neck on it. So here we go. We got it right up against the head. So I'm going to move my little tool out of the way, and I'm going to take up my slack on my bobbin, and I'm going to go 1, 2 on the outside. Then I'm going to go 1, 2 on the inside, then 1, 2 on the outside, then 1, 2 on the inside. Now that locked the chenille in place, so I'm not going to have any trouble with that coming off or slipping or anything else like that. So here we go. And I have a bad habit with this chenille sometime of dropping it and it unspools. Don't take but a minute to put it back. So I'm just about got it here. And all right, so we're going to set that out the way. So now we have our chenille in place. We've got our flash in place, and we got the blue. Now we need some white. So we'll get us a little bit of white bucktail. Like I said, this jig is rather simple. It doesn't take much. Now I'm gonna make a wing, so I don't need it real long. Try to save myself a little bit of stuff here. Okay, so now what we're gonna do I gotta trim some of this. It had some long hairs. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here and we're gonna build a wing on this. And I'm gonna put it right up against the head, over the head just a little bit. Kind of put a little loose tie on it to hold it in place while I make sure that all is good. Now I'm gonna wrap it kind of tight, 3 or 4 wraps. Then I'm gonna hold this wing up, and I'm gonna come back and tie 1, 2, 3 ties underneath, and you see how it's made it stick straight up now? And that's what I want, something to give that wing a little body. And then I'm gonna pull all the extra hairs off the head here, and we're going to wrap this real good and actually build like a neck on this thing. And we're gonna have us a purple neck on this thing. And that's kind of what it's gonna look like. So we're gonna go ahead and make this purple neck. Okay, very good. Now we've got our wing in place. I'm gonna trim that just a little bit. There we go. I think I'm gonna wrap, I'm having trouble with it laying up, so I'm gonna wrap a couple of more wraps here. Right up against the base of this thing to hold it up. There we go. Okay, then we're gonna get our whip finish. And we're gonna whip finish this with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're gonna pull it tight and trim it. And then here is what I call the Merryville special. And you know me, I like to take a little Sally Henson's Harder Than Nails and put a little bit around that neck area. Rotate it and get some on that neck area so that thread will be pretty solid. And I'll get my forceps here and I'll show you what this jig looks like. We open the vise. See here, you can see the flash. Now remember, when this jig's hanging in the water, it hangs upside down, and the sackle usually hang it over them. They see it from the bottom, and this is what they see, and this is looking at it from the bottom. And you can see this is really nice. This is a nice jig. Chartreuse body, blue tail, and white wing with a chartreuse head. And this is a 1/16 ounce jig, chartreuse with red eyes. I believe this is going to catch some fish, and we're going to go to Henderson in a day or two, and I'm going to fish exclusively with this, and I'm going to show you what we do and how we do. And you'll get to see a little bit about how this jig works. So I hope you enjoyed watching that as I tied that. And we're gonna film when we go to Henderson, so I guess we'll see you then. Remember, till I film and we put the video together, passe un bon temps. See you later. Hey, good morning. Donnell Langley and myself are here this morning at Henderson Lake in Henderson, Louisiana in the Chaffalaya Basin. We're gonna try to go find us some white perch, some sac-a-lait, and we hope we'll be able to do some filming today. See you after a while. There's a good one. Look at the size of that.
Look at the mouth on it.
Man, that's old goggle eye.
The mouth on that shot.
Look, that's one of them jigs I tied. Well, we're gonna catch us fish fry here. Usually where you catch one of them, you usually catch a few.
Yeah, that thing got a mouth on it
Like a bass. There he is. There he is, guys. Ooh, son, that's a bass. That's a bass. Look at this, boys. Fish. Hot dog, I missed him. A live scope showing all kind of fish around it. Look at this. Look at this sac-a-lait, sac-a-lait. Look at here, boys.
Swallowed that thing.
Oh. They got all kind of fish down there. There he is. Oh yeah, baby. Another goggle eye.
Another Google eye.
Oh yeah. Look at here, boys. Again, on that jig we tied. Big old goggle eye.
That's a new one.
Big old goggle eye.
Fishing for a while.
What'd you catch him on, Donnell?
On that jig you tied.
Look at here. Between them trees.
Well, not right there. Not between those two trees.
Look at there. Caught that on that same little old jig. That's a pretty fish, Donnell. What'd you catch him on?
Caught him on that jig you tied.
Put him in a live well.
Probably ain't gonna survive. Got that baby, there it is. And in the weird.
Look how beautiful this place is back here. Cypress swamp, alligator grass, hyacinths. Beautiful spot. We didn't get a bump in here today. We went in the thick of the woods where you could hardly move, and we caught a good mess of fish in there, but nothing here. Me and Donnell's fixing to call it a day, fixing to head back to the boat ramp. We'll see you guys a little later when I put this video together. Thank you for watching. Okay guys, we had, I would consider, a pretty dadgum good day today. We was fishing in a little secret lake. This is my cousin PD. He's the one responsible for bringing us, Donnell and myself. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hey, good evening. Well guys, as you can see from the video, we did pretty good in Henderson that afternoon, fishing in a little secret area of Henderson. It's not no big secret, it's just we don't like to tell people where we went too much. We don't want to get there and it'd be a whole crowd of people, but we certainly enjoyed fishing in that area. We caught some sac-a-lait. We probably had about 15 sac-a-lait. Probably had maybe 10 bull brim, maybe 12 or so goggle-eye. We caught, I think, 4 bass that afternoon, that day, if you don't mind. We also caught a few catfish as well, as you could see in the video. So the little Merryville special really turned on and did a good job, and we wound up doing real well. So I highly recommend that you're getting some of that Merryville special jigs, if you would. And you see my YouTube channel, just leave me a comment that you're interested in with maybe a phone number, and I'll get back with you. And I don't mind tying a few jigs for you if you need them, but that Merryville special just really works well. So we thank you for tuning into the channel. I hope you enjoyed the video of tying the jig and then seeing how it worked. And you know, we'll see you next time. And until then, passe un bon temps. This is Pop, loving the Cajun life, where we explore the things Cajuns love to do.